नमस्कार, मैं डॉक्टर भावना ऑस्ट्रेलिया सिडनी से आप सभी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत करती हूँ। ऑस्ट्रेलियन सिनेमा ने विश्व में अपनी एक अलग पहचान बनाई है। ऑस्ट्रेलिया से कितने ही लोगों ने अभिनय, निर्देशन एवं अन्य फिल्म से जुड़े क्षेत्रों में हॉलीवुड तक अपनी छाप छोड़ी है। आइए इस वर्ष विश्वरंग ऑस्ट्रेलिया वर्चुअल समारोह 2021 में ऑस्ट्रेलिया से आपकी मुलाकात करवाते हैं ऑस्ट्रेलिया के जाने माने फिल्म निर्देशक लियम वर्थिंगटन से। लियम ने ऑस्ट्रेलियन अंग्रेजी फिल्म वन लेस गॉड बनाई है जो विश्व स्तर पर अपनी पहचान बना चुकी है। ये फिल्म मुंबई ताज होटल पर हुए आतंकवादी हमले पर आधारित है, जिसमें लियम ने फिल्म कथानक को एक छोटी बच्ची के इर्द गिर्द जोड़कर बहुत ही खूबसूरती से फिल्मांकित किया है और अपने कुशल निर्देशन से कहानी को जीवंत किया है। सौभाग्य से लियम ने इस फिल्म में मुझे भी योगदान देने का अवसर दिया है, मुझे फिल्म के कुछ दृश्यों के साथ शामिल करके और अनुवादक के रूप में। तो आइए मिलते हैं लियम से ऐश्वर्य पर द्वारा लिए गए इस साक्षात्कार में।
I never thought it mattered what you believed in. But I was wrong. Because if our children keep dying for the sake of our beliefs, isn't it time our beliefs started dying for the sake of our children? Do you believe in God? No. Together. People are free to believe in whatever they want to believe in. Vishnu, Allah, Buddha, Thor, fairies, elves, or fucking unicorns. I don't think it needs to be Yahweh, my way, or the fucking highway. Pick your poison. Chakras, angels, divine protection, ESP, feng shui, or astral fucking projection. As long as it makes you happy. Or helps you make sense of it all. Or hey, even if it just gets you out of bed on a cold Sunday morning.
हमारे परिवार की सब स्त्रियों के बाल हमेशा ही सुंदर रहे हैं।
क्या मेरी माँ का बाल बहुत सुंदर है?
निसंदेह अति सुंदर।
Hi, my name is Aishwary. I'm here from Sydney, Australia, and I would like to welcome you to Vishwarang 2021 event, Australia. Today joining me is multi-award winning filmmaker Lliam Worthington. Hi Liam, how are you today?
Hi, I'm very well, thanks Ash. It's lovely to be here.
Pleasure. Today I'd like to talk about your film One Less God. Could you just tell us a little bit more about what the film is and what your inspiration was?
One Less God is about the 2008 Mumbai attacks. For me, when it first took place, I had someone who travelled to India and had friends I knew who lost family members during the attacks. So there was a lot of close personal connections during the event. And while it was worldwide news, it wasn't anything near on the scale for the rest of the world. In impact, people just didn't see it the same way as, say, the way, that 9/11 swept up the consciousness. And I thought that was crazy, because anyone who knew those events, it was the world's longest siege. It was unbelievable, striking at the heart of India, what so many Indians cared about, and such a horrific event on so many different levels that was going to impact lives for generations, not just for a news cycle, but carry on. That we thought we should probably tell a story about, even though it wasn't strictly speaking an Australian story. There were certainly Australians who were trapped inside the events, and so it really was something that affected everybody. So I was drawn to it for all those reasons, and wanted to try to then find a way into the story, which wasn't, Indians were already from the beginning were being hit with the news cycles and endless stories and recountings of the most minute detail. That our point was not to try to make a historic document of it. We weren't trying to, do another recounting of the events, or that, everyone already knew the events. What we wanted to try to do was get inside the real world costs on people and hearts and lives, and what drives people in their psyche to potentially to take these kind of horrendous actions against each other, and get back to the shared humanity. So those are the reasons why I wanted to explore it, because I did feel that, if I was going to go down that, a very dark and hard subject matter, that you've got to have a really good reason in my mind to visit that kind of terrain.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I really do think the human connection was felt there from, what people might have experienced. Of course, I can't even imagine to, fully comprehend what it was. Yeah. But just how you showed everything really felt like we were there. I'd like to specifically talk about the role of Atiyah, as Vishwarang 2021 is focusing on the contributions of children across the globe. What was your inspiration for the role of Atiyah?
Atiyah was very much for me the role, and also her grandfather, her elderly grandfather, really were a way for me of distilling, because I have to say that it affected thousands of lives, the events, and you've got hundreds of lives lost, and so there are so many different stories that to pick any individual true story from a survivor. One is that or someone who didn't survive, one is that I think you're putting undue strain on the family members, and then you're also, there's so many different stories and experiences that you're going to leave a lot out, and so we wanted to try to distill some of the different stories and some of the most important elements into something. And for me, Atiyah's role, really honestly, was the greatest sense of innocence, or what we within our society, within the human psyche, of something that, in the same way that most people, when they see a little puppy, all get the gooey effect, and we see a little baby, where we're designed that way. And for me, it was really important to have the role with Atiyah, that you can understand, no matter what your cultural background, what your religious background, whatever country you're from, you'll see the child. You'll see the being. Everything else will be bypassed, and you understand this is about humanity in those moments. And that's, for me, what we have to get back to when with politics around a lot of these different things, is we have to come back and consider what is ultimately what we're doing to our children. So Atiyah's role really was the central piece of making sure that we tapped into the desire to do good within everybody. I think, that's so, I'm giving you the more psychological answer, but that's because that's truly what she was. It wasn't like, here's a nifty, cool role for a young girl, where I think she'll make a really great storyline or something. It really wasn't. I knew that she, in the same way that music bypasses the mind, I felt that her character will bypass all preconceived ideas that people hold, and get to the hearts of people.
Back in the morning.
We're staying in a palace.
A palace? You must be a princess then. Are you? Then the palace is exactly where you belong.
Yeah, it really strips it down for you. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Yeah.
In the end, Mihika Rao ended up playing the role for Atiya, and she absolutely did a commendable job. Can we talk a bit about your audition process for the role of
sure.
Atiya, and how Mihika Rao was selected for the role?
Auditioning is very for me, and I was an actor before I was a director, is a very important part, and a lot of auditions are they're very sterile. It's more the experience is more akin to like you're going to the dentist. You go to somewhere and you sit down in a little room, and then you're supposed to get up in the other room and everyone's all silent, and then you're supposed to suddenly come to life as an actor.
Yeah.
And so the auditions, particularly for the kids, is, the first thing is just to try to make sure the environment feels warm and friendly and open, and they're going to have a good time, make sure they have fun. So regardless of whether they get the part, they don't get the part, they just feel like they've gone to like a drama class, and they walk away going, that was great, I had a ball. And that to me is really, what you're doing, you're laying the foundation. Good directors always say it's really about getting your actors to trust you, because the work they have to do is often quite vulnerable and demanding and challenging. And so you have to create an environment of trust for them to be able to do that. And with children, even more so, because, they sense, they sniff, as soon as they're the other person. Children, there's not really hiding who you are. I don't think so. Where you can say the words as the adult, you can do whatever you like, but they're still sniffing the being. If they don't like what they smell, they're never truly going to be comfortable. But something interesting, and we had two girls who really came down, who were both doing a fantastic job. And we could have honestly gone either way. But for me, what I spoke about before, Mihika just had this, besides doing a really good job with the acting, just that natural innocence and purity to her. I felt that just, it goes beyond words. I think it belongs to the spirit, really. And so that was something that she had that shone out there in the auditions. And the other thing, I guess, that was interesting about the auditions is that when you're casting children, you're going to be working with the parents probably even more than you're working with the children. So you have to audition the parents as much as you audition the kids. And Mihika's parents are the most lovely, beautiful, supportive people. So it made the casting of her just an easy thing and a great thing.
Wonderful. And did you get to meet the parents during the audition process?
Yeah, straight away. Yeah, they come up and it's all, they're from the beginning, it's all done that. And we very much make the process so that the whole casting feels that the parents are involved too. Some of the exercises, you might even get the parents up so the child doesn't feel, that they're just sort of being disconnected, or that everyone's just watching them, that sort of stuff. You turn it more into play. So it more feels like having a good time together than it does that you're, everyone's sitting around watching you and judging you, which is not really fun for anybody.
Yeah, not at all. And that's amazing, the fact that you deploy those techniques, because it's really seen in the movie, as you said, Mihika's innocence, and that definitely added to the role of Atiya.
When they trust you, they'll go places that otherwise, as soon as the mind bites in and that first seed of doubt starts to sprout, it's very hard, and especially for children, because they're so connected to their senses in that way, typically more than the adult mind is. And so it just, if you don't have that position of trust and joyfulness around what's there, I think they second guess themselves all the time, and they're just going to hesitate inside things, and you won't. Yeah. And for a child, we'll talk about play more later, but how children work in acting is very different for me than how certainly most adult professional actors work that I've worked with.
Yeah, but it sounds like a wonderful experience. Like if adults got to do auditions like that, I know I would be 100% more comfortable.
I do. I think it's a good idea. I really do. Yeah.
And in terms of Mihika and the script and the whole true events that the movie was inspired from, how much did she actually know where this was coming from?
We kept it. She's 8. So her role inside the movie, we left it ultimately to Minotti, her mother, to decide how much she wanted to fill her in. But our recommendation was that the way we were going to film this, the way we were going to do this, there was no need to tell Mihika anything if she didn't want to. And we certainly, in terms of the nature of the terrorist or what was happening to other characters or her character or anything like that, those were things that she was never aware of. It was just, she's there. This is happening. There's people in this hotel that you don't want to be found by, and that was about as far as it ever went. for that side, because you don't really need more from that, from the character. And I think that's something that any good director and good project tries to do, is to protect the sensibilities of the child from the story, because they we know it's like, that's why the children are so great, because once you trigger the images, their feelings are not very good at separating between is the monster under the bed real or not. And so the last thing I wanted to do was be planting monsters under the bed. So we didn't need to. You can always find ways. For me, that was within the writing. Long before we got to the shoot, was writing that character in a way where I knew that the 8-year-old girl would not have to be aware of the broader events and how we would cover this and what we would do.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's amazing. And working with Mahika at her age, as we said, was 8 years old at the time. Mm-hmm. Was there any difficulties, any challenges you might have faced?
I think the funniest thing is when the parents want to help. Sometimes, like Kunwar would, Mahika's father would, he knows what the direction is, he knows what she's supposed to be doing and where it's going, and they might utter some words to help, and they're right. What he's saying is exactly what we want, and it's right. But because it's now coming from the father instead of from me as the director or someone else, the child resistance to the father will set in, and it will become about, she won't do the thing because it's coming from him instead of coming from you.
Right.
So
wow.
That's one of it. But to be said, that was a couple of funny instances, and it's resolved within seconds. But there weren't really that many obstacles, except for maybe the natural shyness, I think, of Mahika, because she is. You may not have, but she's 8, and she's an 8-year-old girl, and you're on a set, and film sets have big guys holding grip things up, who have baseball caps and tattoos or what have you. That's the nature of a film set, and you're always going to have multiple people and bodies in a room, and so that's a lot for a child to be sort of to processing. So there will just be sometimes when I had the rule with her that whenever you've had enough, it's okay. We just stop. If you feel any more, you get up. I can remember one time, and we were doing some of the cupboard scene where she's looking out for the thing. And you just have been doing it. We've done a few takes, and the light had to shine on the eye to get the shot. And so it's hard because she wants to keep looking away from the eye and has to sort of let it sit there and the pupil dilate and what have you to get the shot to work. And I can remember just sort of stopped, opened the cupboard door, got up, and just sort of walked off. And just sort of, okay, we'll cut then, everybody. That's it for now. We'll be back in a minute.
Oh, that's amazing.
But that's what you want, right? You do. You want her to feel empowered and that she can just get up and walk out. Show enough. I don't want to light my eye right now. I'm gone.
पर क्या हुआ? मुझे बताइए क्या बात है?
NSD Commando. हेलो।
अब आपको छुपना है। चलो छुप जाओ। कुछ लोग आ रहे हैं, वो आपसे खेल खेलना चाहते हैं। आपने किसी भी हालत में उनको जीतने नहीं देना, समझ गए ना?
हेलो, NSG Commando. Anyone there? Please come out now. We help you.
अब आपने बाहर नहीं आना, चाहे कुछ भी हो जाए, किसी भी हालत में आपने बाहर नहीं आना। आप वायदा करती है, मेरी अच्छी बच्ची, कुछ भी हो जाए आपको नहीं आना।
ठीक है।
Anyone there?
मेरी अच्छी बच्ची, सबसे प्यारी बच्ची।
Hello, NSG Commando. You hear me?
I'm coming. Just one moment.
come out now. We help you. Hello. Come out now. We help you. NSG Commando. You hear me? Come out now. We help you.
I'm coming!
And as you're absolutely right, you did want to capture her, true spirit, so letting her be free, that's wonderful. Now on the other side of things, what were some of the positives, you would say, working with a child actor?
I think in the same way that, when sometimes you go to old family reunions or weddings and events, and everyone will bond around the baby, or people will bond around the animal. These are universal things that are easy. I think that's something for me in cinema, really, that if you put a dog on screen, they're difficult to film animals, but the dog is the dog. And so you get a 100% guaranteed perfect dog performance. The dog will never be half believable. I'm not really convinced he was the dog. He was in and out of the dog, it's fantastic the whole time. It's the dog.
Yeah.
And child actors, if you don't get them into the head, for me, very much the same way, the child. And so you're going to get 100% truthful performance, except for the contrivances of acting and situation that you're asking them to put themselves in. But if you can get that stuff to work, whenever the child is just in front of the camera, you just see another being, and we don't, we feel the reality of the situation in a way that adult actors can really struggle for. One of the hardest things is sometimes for mature actors, or what we call great actors even, is just people who are really comfortable just being there in front of the camera and just truly being themselves, without doing anything at all. And the last thing you want them to do is start acting. If they start acting, it all falls apart. So children, they sit much more naturally in that place for me of something which is, if you don't get in the way, you don't create other things to get in the way, then you're going to get the child in the same way that you get the dog. So I think it's a wonderful thing about working with child actors. And then it's the joy they bring. If the set's a happy set, which you want it to be, in a joyful place, well, it lights up the room, and laughter and fun and play, and and those hard grips I said, holding things, are laughing and joyful, and it feels more like Christmas than it does like a tough day on set.
That's amazing. And how was it in terms of working with our school schedule?
Well, because for us it was a very long. We were a low budget film, so we had to be gritty inside and tricky inside what we did in terms of squeezing the most out of what little funds we had, and that meant that they say in film that you can have time. You can get something done fast, you can get something done quality, or you can get something done cheap. But you can only have two, so you can't do something fast and it's going to be cheap. And then also have quality. Do cheap and fast, you won't have quality. You want quality and you want to do it fast, it cannot be cheap. We knew we wanted quality, which meant we couldn't be fast because we had to do it cheap. So what that meant was for her and her schedules, it actually worked really. It's a good pattern for indie filmmaking. I mean, a lot of them try to condense their film shoots inside 20 days or less for their shoots. But for me, it was more, going, okay, let's map this over, 6 months to a year. Let's do the number of days as we need. And so it means you can use weekends, you can use holidays, you use whatever times that best suit them. So we really didn't interact very much with her school schedule at all. There may have been a couple of pickup shot days or something where, we were on a forced timeline or something where there may have been a moment where she took a morning off or something. But for the most part, no, we just rather work around it.
अहमद क्या
एक हो रहेगा
कहाँ पर
2 मंजिल नीचे
तुम चाहो तो यहीं बैठे रहो जब तक तुम्हारा रोना ना बंद हो।
अहमद अहमद अहमद
That's amazing. Oh, I can't think of any more questions. Would you have anything else that you'd like to cover? In terms of...
I guess the other thing I'd say is that there's a lot of children in cinema, children in the arts. The endeavours, particularly I guess I should speak mainly to cinema, even though I have a theatre background too. But the mechanism of cinema is such huge logistics and organisation and money all the time. And so it can be quite strange when you're marrying. We talk about the child star syndrome when a child, like to say something like a Daniel Radcliffe in the Harry Potter series, or these kids who are found very young in these hugely global popular properties that are going to begin, and the world are going to see them as little children and watch them grow up into adults during that, and what that and how that impacts upon them and their psyche. And it's difficult. It's a really interesting one for me because I've wondered at it. If you were directing Harry Potter, if that's you, what can you do? Because you see some of these actors who come out afterwards and they're adults and they regret doing it. They're not happy with the facts. Now, those are typically the bigger, longer running, series or shows or films like the Harry Potter franchises. But that to me is something that's always a consideration too, is that I feel that the life experience, just because you're letting them be in a movie, that doesn't mean that it's a valuable life experience. You've given them something fantastic or wonderful. I think that working with our children, our job is that in the same way that we want as a parent for them to go to school, we want them to be valuable. We want them to learn. We want them to grow, but we also want them to enjoy life and to have an enriched environment. And so I think that really is the responsibility of filmmakers or anyone working with children within the arts for larger projects. Is you have to be thinking about it not just as the individual project, but where does this sit in the life story of this human being? Where is this going to be? Where is it going to fit? And then try to make sure that you make it fit in the most valuable, enriching way possible.
Well, it's been wonderful chatting with you today.
Yeah, lovely talking to you too.
Thank you for joining us.
I just want to give all my best and gratitude to Vishwarang. I hope that you have a wonderful festival, and to all the different countries and people around the world who are connecting. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thanks, Ash. Namaste.
Do you believe in God? I believe we're all one. All of us. We're interconnected. And there is nothing more sacred or precious than the life we all share. Here. Now. Together. I think what matters is life. And we don't just have life. We are life. I believe in love. And love? Well, love is everything. I never thought it mattered what you believed in. But I was wrong. Because if our children keep dying for the sake of our beliefs, isn't it time our beliefs started dying for the sake of our children? Do you believe in love? Because the only thing worth giving up for love is everything.